Hello and welcome back to Bicycle Legs and another edition of Anniversary Albums. Today we're going to be looking at albums that are having a significant anniversary in the month of October. When I say a significant anniversary, I mean one that ends in a 5 or a 0. Now, as with last October, this October there's just so many albums to get through that I've had to actually do 2 episodes. So this is episode 1. I'm going to be looking at albums that are having anniversaries up to and including 45th anniversary. And then in my second episode, which will come out tomorrow, I'm going to look at albums that are having 50th to 60th anniversaries. So let's get into my first list for today. And we're going to start with an album that is having its 45th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 5th of October 1979. It is the second album by this wonderful, wonderful artist, and that is I'm the Man by Joe Jackson. A very, very worthy follow-up to Look Sharp. Came out the same year as Look Sharp, so he obviously had a lot of these songs already in the can, ready to go when he recorded his debut. And these songs are absolutely right up there with the songs on Look Sharp. I mean, you've got the wonderful On Your Radio to kick things off. Geraldine and John, which is this wonderful, it's got this reggae feel, but the lyric is a very bitter lyric about sort of extramarital affairs and that sort of thing. Kind of Cute's great. It's Different for Girls was a huge, huge hit for him in the UK, and it's a wonderful, wonderful song. The title track, I'm the Man, possibly the punkiest thing that Joe Jackson ever did. The band wore blue shirts, wonderful. Don't Want to Be Like That. Amateur Hour is really sort of heart-wrenching song. Get That Girl, and then Friday, close the album out. Just wonderful, wonderful, really high energy song to finish the album with. Terrific album, and Joe Jackson would just go on to even more wonderful things from here. The next album we're going to have a look at was released on the very same day. It was released on the 5th of October 1979. So it's having its 45th anniversary in the month of October. And it's a debut album by this person as a solo artist. He'd been in a band for a long, long time, but this is his first solo album. I am, of course, talking about A Curious Feeling by Tony Banks. Now, this is a mostly solo album. Tony writes everything on this album. He plays everything except drums and lead vocals. He gets Kim Beacon in for lead vocals and Chester Thompson, the touring drummer for Genesis, in on drums. But Tony Banks plays all the keyboards, guitars, basses. He plays some percussion as well. But this is a wonderful album. If you're into that sort of, mid to late 70s Genesis sound, you're going to get it in spades on this album. You've got the wonderful opening instrumental from The Undertow. Then you get Lucky Me. You get The Lie and After the Lie, which is wonderful. The title track, A Curious Feeling. I love that song. It's really, really good. Forever Morning is great. And then on side 2, you've got You, Someone Else's Dream, Waters of Leith. I really like that track a lot. For a While and In the Dark. It's just top to bottom. I think it's probably his best solo album. I probably could have included this in our panel of artists who never topped their debut, because I don't know that Tony Banks ever did a better solo album than A Curious Feeling. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 40th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 15th of October 1984, and I am talking about The Big Express by XTC. And yes, I've got the die cut round sleeve, which is rather nifty. This was not the album that the record company or anybody else except maybe the band themselves were expecting after the sort of pastoral, lush mummer. This is quite clanky, it's got a lot of industrial sounds to it and it's harsh sometimes, but it's still got those wonderful XTC songs on it. I mean, Wake Up, just wonderful. I actually used the opening of Wake Up as an alarm on my phone. All You Pretty Girls is great. Shake You Donkey Up, it's just clamorous. Seagull Screaming, Kiss Her, Kiss Her. This World Over is a bit more of a pastoral song, but it's kind of bleak and dark, the lyrics, but I love it to death. Everyday Story of Small Town has a bit of that sort of Kinks vibe to it. I Bought Myself a Lyrebird. It's a song about their ex-manager. How many bands have songs about their ex-managers? I mean, quite a few, I think. Rain of Blows is great. You're the Wish You Are I Had. I Remember the Sun. And then Train Running Low on Soul Coal. It's just, from beginning to end, it's a different album for XTC. It's quite bright and harsh, as I say, sounding. It's very different from Mama and even like English Settlement that came before that. But it's a great XTC album because there is no such thing as a bad XTC album. I've done an XTC Studio Albums Ranked. I will leave a link for that in the description. Please do check that out if you haven't already. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 35th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 16th of October 1989, and that is The Sensual World by Kate Bush. I mean, Kate Bush knocks it out of the park again. Just a wonderful, wonderful album. Came a few years after her last album, which was The Hounds of Love. I love this album though. I mean, it bookended by two incredibly strong tracks. It starts off with the title track, The Sensual World, which I love to death. And then it finishes with The Woman's Work, which, yeah, just an incredible song. But in between that, you've got Love and Anger, you've got The Fog, Reaching Out, Heads We're Dancing, Deeper Understanding, Between a Man and a Woman, Never Be Mine, Rocket's Tale. I mean, just again, beginning to end, a wonderful, wonderful album. Slightly different from The Hounds of Love. You know, she never stood still, Kate Bush, always evolving her sound. And, that's one of the things we love Kate Bush for, isn't it? You know, for just not standing still, for always progressing. In that respect, she was progressive. She's not progressive rock. She doesn't sound like Yes or King Crimson or Genesis. But her music is progressive in the fact that it progresses. It keeps moving forward. It keeps trying new things. And to me, that is progressive music. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 45th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 19th of October 1979. In fact, the next three albums we're going to have a look at all released on the 19th of October 1979. So the first one of those, probably considered an all-time classic by this artist, and that is Damn the Torpedoes by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And it's got the smash hit Refugee on it. You know, one of the first Tom Petty songs I ever was exposed to was Refugee. But you've also got the wonderful Here Comes My Girl, Even the Losers, Shadow of a Doubt, A Complex Kid. Century City is a great song. Don't Do Me Like That, great opener to side two. You Tell Me, What Are You Doing in My Life, and Louisiana Rain. I mean, it definitely has to be a top 5 Tom Petty album, if not top 3. So there's one or two I like just a smidge better, but this is an incredible album. Love it to death. Now the next album, as I say, also released on the 19th of October 1979, so having its 45th anniversary in the month of October. Debut album. The next two are both debut albums. And this is like, just what a great statement from this band. It is One Step Beyond by Madness. Straight out of the blocks. Just incredible band. I mean, it starts off with the title track, One Step Beyond. which is a Prince Buster cover. You get the wonderful My Girl, Night Boat to Cairo. I mean, so many of these songs have become, you know, all-time Madness classics. You know, The Prince, again, another, well, that's a song that they wrote themselves about Prince Buster. The track Madness is a Prince Buster cover, but you've also got, you know, their wonderful version of Swan Lake. You've got Bed and Breakfast Man, Razorblade Alley, In the Middle of the Night. Land of Hope and Glory is a wonderful, wonderful song. Just a great debut. Again, they would go on to bigger and better things in my opinion, but I love this album. It's just a great start to a great career. As is the next one that we're going to have a look at, also again released on the 19th of October 1979, so having its 45th anniversary in the month of October. Debut album, also ska music, and that is Specials by the Specials. I mean, this has obviously got their wonderful hit, Message to You, Rudy, but it's also got Monkey Man and Blank Expression, Nightclub, Do the Dog, Concrete Jungle. Now You're Wondering, Too Much Too Young. This is a more pure ska album than maybe the Madness album is. But it's an absolutely brilliant album. And the Specials wouldn't have as long a career as Madness. I mean, Madness still going to this day, still releasing great albums. You know, the Specials not doing so much. This album, this first album, was produced by Elvis Costello. It's just a wonderful debut album. And if you're into sort of more pure ska, whereas I would say Madness is ska influenced, the Specials are pure ska, but absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. And of course, we lost the late, great Terry Hall just recently in the last sort of several months. So that's sad, but, you know, celebrate him by going and listening to this album and celebrating its 45th anniversary with me. The next album we're going to have a look at is having its 25th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 26th of October, 1999. And yeah, it's the only studio album solo by this artist, known again for being in a long-running band. The album is State Songs by John Linnell, obviously of They Might Be Giants. He's done a couple of EPs, solo EPs, and that sort of thing. There's one called House of Mayors, like all about New York City mayors. And there's he's done a recently one called Roman Songs that was part of like the fan club release, and it's like songs that he wrote that are all in Latin. This album is state songs. All the songs are named after states in the United States. There aren't 50 songs, so don't worry about that. But they're not really about that. Basically, the name of the state is just a jumping off point for John Linnell's sort of absurdist lyrics, which are one of my favorite things about They Might Be Giants. And he goes into like a lot of different sort of genre exercises, like doing different genres, like the song West Virginia. It's got a real sort of Doors feel to it. Some of these songs are recorded with like an old steam organ, and just wonderful things like the songs of the 50 states, and the closing track Nevada has a long sort of outro of this sort of calliope. But you've also got Illinois, you've got Montana, which is a great song, was released as a single. He performed that on Conan O'Brien's show. Maine is wonderful, Arkansas, Utah, Michigan, New Hampshire. Just a wonderful album. If you're a They Might Be Giants fan, but you've never explored this album, do yourself a favor. You will love it. If you're a They Might Be Giants fan, this will be absolutely right up your alley. Now the next album we're going to have a look at is having its 40th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 29th of October 1984. Another debut album and another all-time classic, I would say. And that is Welcome to the Pleasure Dome by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Now obviously this has the massive Two Tribes and Relax, both #1 smash hits. In fact, at one stage, I think in the UK charts, Two Tribes was #1 and Relax was #2, so holding the top 2 spots on the charts. But you've also got the title track is wonderful. You've got The Power of Love, beautiful ballad, which had that sort of real Christmassy theme video to it, even though it's not a Christmas song. You've got The World Is My Oyster too. I mean, this is just an absolute tour de force, not just of the band, but especially of Trevor Horn and his production from the early to mid 80s. He is all over this. He even invites people in like Steve Howe from Yes to play on it. Just an incredible album. Unfortunately, Frankie Goes to Hollywood would only do one more album after this and then break up and never reunite, so, which is rather sad. But this is just an all-time 80s classic. If you only know sort of Two Tribes and Relax, go and explore this album, because I think you'll find a lot to like there. And then the last album we're going to look at in this show, remember there will be a second show with some older albums in it coming out tomorrow. This album is having its 45th anniversary in the month of October. It was originally released on the 30th of October 1979. Bit of a departure for this artist, because this is an album of music that he hadn't really done before, and it is Stevie Wonder's Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants. And, you know, there's a lot of ambient music on this. There's a lot of instrumental music on this. Not a lot of vocal on this. I won't go through this one track by track because, you know, it kind of really flows together in various ways. It's a double album. There's a film that it's the soundtrack for as well. But it's just, if you're into like ambient music, if you're into your Brian Eno's and that sort of thing, this is definitely worth checking out. But also, if you're a Stevie Wonder fan and you've kind of given this album a pass because you've heard things about it, that it's not the same as his other music. No, it's not. But it's definitely worth exploring. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful album. Is it right up there with his sort of absolute classics? Maybe not, but it's a different kind of album, and I think for what it is, it's really, really great. So there you have it. Those are my first 10 of 2 lots of 10 this month of anniversary albums in the month of October. Please do let me know in the comments which albums you think I should have included, which albums of these you like, which albums maybe you don't care for so much. I always love it when you tell me what albums I should have included. But please remember, for this video, only include albums that are sharing up to a 45th anniversary, because I have a second separate episode for 50th, 55th and 60th anniversaries. And I'd love to see your comments on that one too for those older albums. Please do like, share and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. If you're new to the channel, please go and have a look at some of my other videos. I have everything playlisted, so if you want to see some of my other anniversary album shows, I have a playlist for those. If you want to see some of my studio albums ranked shows, I have a playlist for those. And if you want to see my appearances on other people's channels, I also have a playlist for those. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at bicyclelegs on Instagram, Twitter, and a bunch of other places. I also have a dedicated Bicyclelegs Facebook page. Links are all in the doobly-doo. Please do give those all a follow and join in the conversation. I'd really love to have you there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.